We good, Daniel?
Are we good?
All right, everybody, and welcome to the DogCast. This is episode 4. Today, we're super pumped to have a local bikini rising star in the fitness industry, Tessa Barresi, with us. Tessa, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So the first thing I noticed about you is you look like you're in incredible shape, and you've got a really dark tan going on. You must have just recently competed.
Yes, I just competed actually 1 week ago tomorrow. I competed at the Vancouver Pro Qualifier 2018.
Okay, in the amateur bikini division?
Amateur Bikini A.
Cool, and how did you do?
I placed 7th amongst, I think there was about 20 women.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty good for my first international level competition, and being the youngest one up there as well.
So how old are you now?
I am 18.
You're 18, wow. And you were competing against women between 18 and...
Well, I was the only 18-year-old,
Okay.
but I was competing against women from the ages about like 22 to probably 35 or 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know, like, age is a good thing in the fitness industry. It allows your body to grow some muscle maturity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're at a little bit of a disadvantage being the younger athlete, for sure.
Yeah, I'm much softer than a lot of the other athletes, and that's just because I have that little baby fat that my body just won't let go of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But this hasn't been your first competition, right?
No, this was actually my 3rd competition.
Okay. So when did you get into this?
In 2016, I had my first competition. It was the Popeyes Fall Classic 2016, where I competed in the figure category.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so 2016, so then you were 16 then? Or...
I started the prep when I was 16. I stepped on stage because it was in November, so I had just turned 17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what made you want to get into fitness and stuff like that, and then competing? Because working out in the gym is something that I've done. I think I started when I was 16,
Yeah.
but I never had any dreams of competing. But I didn't really look the part like you do. But did you start with the intention of always competing, or was it just the next progression?
It was definitely the next progression. I had taken dance for 13 years since I was 6 years old. And then I ran track and field in high school. And then one day I just decided to get a gym pass because I was never really a team player. So I wanted to just focus on me. And then I started going into powerlifting. Actually, I competed in powerlifting for a few years. And then that just kind of turned into me building more muscle. And then I started to show interest in, stepping on stage and getting to showcase that muscle. So that's really what started it for me, is just wanting to step on stage and like become noticed, especially when I started posting on social media and I started getting the feedback from other people. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to do this in real life.
Yeah. So speaking of social media, you've got quite a large following now. Did that start at the same time as your lifting career, or did you, again, transition into that? Because fitness lives online. The fitness industry has always been kind of a cult culture, and it's never made it to TSN or ESPN, but it's thriving on YouTube and Instagram, and there's millionaires every day that just are social icons, and they market their brand through their physique. And is that something that you always had in mind and when you got into posting and stuff like that, or did you just think it was cool to post pictures of progress?
Well, I did think it was cool to post pictures of progress, but I did have in the back of my mind this like expectation, like, oh, I want to get big on Instagram. I want to get big on social media. Like, I want to be a Gymshark girl one day. And I just kept posting, and then I started to get noticed. And then it was kind of like a very, very slow incline at first, but then...
Yeah, so you're not saying any of this is easy for anybody listening. Like, you're talking about a couple year progression.
Yeah.
Slow, small wins that accumulate over time to get to where you are now. Yeah.
It definitely, it was stagnant for a while, and then it makes a big jump, and then it's slow, and then it kind of has jumps all over the place, but it has taken me 3 years to grow my social media to where it is now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think you're going to continue to compete? Like, is that an important aspect of the recognition and respect you get online, or is just producing cool content that people enjoy because they enjoy your personality and they get to know you? Like, where that's always a divide that I've seen is people go down the competition road and try and be the best on stage and get that and win, and because of that they grow. But then there's the other group of people that step away from the stage and focus more on the social media aspect and still do really well, but it's a V in the line. Where do you think you're going to do?
I think I want to do both because I do really like the posting on the social media, and I do know what you mean by the people who step away from the stage and then they pursue the social media. A lot of that is to do with like the body positivity community.
Yeah.
So stepping away from like shredding down and being super lean, and stepping away from essentially putting yourself in others' judgment based on how you look. But I personally, I love competing. It is like, I absolutely am in love with the sport. Like, it's in my heart. So I really want to focus on doing both. And it's funny because people really like following my journey, and they like seeing me on prep because I don't hide anything. And I'm like, if I'm having a bad day, I will talk about it, because I feel like a lot of the people on social media who compete, it's just fancy pictures of them all tanned in a glittery bikini on stage, but really they don't see the months and the weeks and the days of the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. And it creates kind of like a false fantasy for people who are going to compete for the first time. So when I compete, I make sure I'm very real with who follows me, and it's not just some, fantasy land.
I think that's the way to do it. And I know who you're talking about. There's people that accounts I follow, and the pictures they post daily pictures, but they're always shredded, you know, and they're just, you can tell it's an accumulation of photos that they've taken for 3 months during their show. Yeah. And they're in real life, they're in off season now, but they're still posting those competition pictures, and it kind of devalues getting to know them. You know, you're not telling the whole story. And I think with Instagram and YouTube and Facebook for fitness brands, telling your story is probably the best way to get through to people and get followers. Yeah. So let's take it back to your powerlifting. I didn't know about that. That's interesting. What were your favorite lifts? What were your stats?
My favorite lift was a deadlift.
Okay.
I actually, I only competed one time, and I broke all 3 provincial records because I was the youngest one there. And so I broke the bench, deadlift, and squat record. I can't remember what those numbers were because they're quite smaller than what I actually can do now.
Oh, really? So you've progressed since those, huh?
Yes, but I never competed again since.
Do you still, do you still do 1 rep maxes anymore? That's kind of pointless now for bodybuilding and muscle building purposes, obviously.
Yeah.
And the risk of injury too. But does your ego get in the way and you just want to test it?
It has a few times. There was one time at the beginning of prep where I was like, I can still lift 315, and then I did it, but I was like, my body was very, very shocked afterwards, and I was like, okay, that's probably not a good idea for me to do, especially if I'm on a deficit. So, but yeah, sometimes my ego does get in the way, and I do miss that feeling of like locking out at the top of a deadlift. Nobody thinks you can lift it, but then you do, and you feel really strong.
Oh, you're on the top of the mountain.
It's like the best feeling in the world.
So exhilarating, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you like now about, switching from powerlifting to competition, to physique competition is very different. The training is different. The diet is different. I think the discipline too is different because you're in 13 or 14. How long did you do it for? 15 weeks?
My prep was 30 weeks because I did back-to-back shows. I really don't recommend doing that because...
So that's 30 weeks of deprivation, basically, of telling yourself, no, you can't have this because the end goal is worth it. How do you do that? Because that's really, really tough for a lot of people, especially when it comes to food and mouth pleasure and the things everybody takes for granted. How do you lock that down?
Well, I am with... this company called InjaFit, and that's my coach, Jen Kirsten. She runs InjaFit, and she actually does flexible dieting, and that is for the competitors as well. So say, for example, I have my macronutrients lined up. If I wanted to have a piece of chocolate on prep, I totally could.
You just build it into the macros for the day.
Yes, okay. Exactly. So it's not like I am completely restricted to chicken and rice, but once I get down to those 5 final weeks, I really do just focus on the 5 foods that agree with my stomach the most, and it does get a little bit restrictive on my end, but I've really learned a lot about discipline over dieting for 30 weeks. You really have to tap into the discipline, and
has that spark of discipline helped you or transferred into other parts of your life?
Into every single one.
Does it make you a better employee, a better worker, a better daughter?
I think it's just made me like a better person overall because I did struggle a lot with anxiety and depression for a big chunk of my life. And then once I learned how to discipline myself to the point where the self-discipline became self-respect and then the self-respect became self-love, I became this strong person that I didn't even know I could be. And it's like, I noticed that as soon as I started prep, the anxiety went away and the depression went away and all the negative self-thoughts went away because I was so disciplined and I respected myself so much. And I still do. And I'm so grateful that's carried on into my everyday life.
Yeah.
So that's why I hold competing so close to my heart, because
Yeah,
it's changed who I am.
Right. I think you're also talking about the antidote to depression is finding meaning and purpose for your life, which probably sounds like competition has brought to you.
Yeah.
Like, I know I've struggled with addiction, depression for several years in my 20s. I'm a lot older now and I've come out of it. But the way I came out of it was just like just the Dog Days Company, you know, focusing on something that I know does something good and allows me to wake up in the morning. And if I do my work leads to meaning and positivity.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get good feedback from it, and that just throws the depression to the side. And it's cool to find something like that, you know? So
Yeah.
my tips for everybody is whoever is struggling with depression is if you can find some meaning in your life, whatever it is, that's going to be the first step to covering that. So what's the future for you now? You just competed. Are you reverse dieting? Are you going crazy? Are you...
Oh God, no. I had my one day after the show. My coach was like, all right, have your one day, have your IHOP or whatever it is you want. And so I had my one day.
What was your one day?
My one day. Well, I had never been to IHOP before.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And I went there and oh my God, IHOP is incredible.
Yeah. We
We need one in Victoria because I was blown away. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. And then what else did I have that day? We went out for sushi, and then, my mom and I, when we got off the ferry, we went to Boston Pizza and we got this pizza. It's my favorite pizza. It's the Mediterranean pizza.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest thing I have ever had. But yeah, I didn't really overdo it that day. I kind of just wanted, like, I had a rough idea of what I wanted. Like, I wanted sushi and I wanted pancakes, and I was satisfied after that.
Okay, so you wake up the next day after that, and then you have a plan to reverse diet out of it and not blow up, and that's what you're still in process of doing?
Yeah, because since I dieted for 30 weeks and I got so lean, especially at my age, my metabolism is in a place where I could potentially cause a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
And I definitely don't want to do that, especially since I'm so young. So I actually did it once before. Right after my very first show, I did not stick to my reverse diet, and I ended up gaining a copious amount of weight back. And then that was also a factor in what sent me into that depression again, because I had just given up on the diet and I gave up on the gym and I wasn't keeping myself on track. So that's why I'm sticking to my reverse diet like glue. And honestly, it feels really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just adding in a few more calories per day, but sticking with the same foods that you know your body processes well.
Yep.
And how long is the reverse dieting if your actual diet was 30 weeks? Is it like half the time or?
I guess it depends on how well my body reacts to it. It's funny because some people, when they're reverse dieting, their metabolism gets so strong they actually get leaner. I'm kind of hoping that's the case with me, but I know the way my body works. When my body is introduced to carbs, we like to put on mass. We like to put on muscle, actually. My body just wants to grow, which is why it actually made it a little bit difficult for me to compete in bikini, because my shoulders put on muscle very, very fast. My back puts muscle on very, very fast. So we had to really diet me down very, very hard for me to do bikini, because my body just wants to grow and build muscle. So the reverse diet for me, we're just adding a little bit more carbs, but mainly fats, just because my coach knows how my body reacts with carbs. So we're just adding in more calories. I'm still doing the same amount of cardio, and we're just taking it day by day.
And are you still working with your coach, InjaFit?
Yes.
InjaFit will put a shout out in the link to you guys. I know Sarah Taylor works with them too.
I think she did. She's with a different coach now.
She is, okay.
Yeah, but she has worked with InjaFit in the past.
Cool. I'm actually going to work with Ryan Burns. Do you know who that is? He works with Dale. He was Dale's coach. I'm meeting him tomorrow just because I can lose 20 pounds and I want to be my best for this. I'm presenting myself on camera now, and I'm not liking the way I look, so I'm going to start doing that as well. I have no plans to compete, but it's going to be nice to go through a fitness journey that I can, relate to you guys about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Are you going to compete again at the end of the year, or are you going to take a year off and grow? Or
So we're going to reverse diet me for a little bit, and then the plan is to have just a building phase because I don't really need to build my upper body, but I got my judges' feedback and they were just like, you just need to work on glutes because that's basically what they look for in bikini. Sad to say, but it's all about glutes.
Just bigger glutes? Is that
bigger, tighter, firmer, rounder, just the best glutes in the world is what you're trying to present on stage for bikini. And so my coach and I, we've planned to take a solid off season and let my body just have a break because I have been dieting since December of 2017. So it's been a long time for me to be on a diet. But we are going to try and maintain some bit of leanness and not have me put on a lot of extra weight that I'll have to lose next prep because my next competition is going to be the Van Island Showdown, which takes place.
That's in
it's June.
June, yeah.
Yeah, June 15th, I believe. So I would probably start prep February of 2019.
So you're not going to go to Corey's show in Vancouver, the Van Showdown?
The Van Showdown?
Yeah, Corey's doing that show as well. He's the guy that promoted the Van Island.
Oh, the Van Island?
Yeah, he's doing this one in October of this year.
Oh, okay, October. So if I did that one, I would probably have to do another prep. I mean, I totally could, but I think it's best for me to just let my body calm down, let my adrenals calm down, let my metabolism build up. Yeah. Because if we build my metabolism really, really, really good, the next prep I do, it's just going to be the easiest thing. Yeah. And then, so the Van Island Showdown, that qualifies me if I believe they made it top 5 now. That'll qualify me for the Vancouver Pro qualifier. Basically my plan, I really want to get my pro card one day. So I'm just going to keep trying until I get it and find every single opportunity.
These are just local shows. Have you thought about putting in some traveling and making it to like, Alberta or Ontario to try and qualify there too? Is that an option or?
It could possibly be an option. I've personally never even thought about that because it's pretty expensive to travel. Even like doing a show in Vancouver, I'm like, oh, the ferry costs and the hotel it's a big
bucks.
Yeah. And I mean, being 18 and I actually quit my job so I could focus on prepping for the Vancouver Pro qualifier. Yeah, I don't really have the funds to compete in another region in Canada or in the world.
Right. So let's bring that to family and competition. We've got your mom here, Lisa. Lisa, do you want to just come say hi and wave to the camera? I wanted to embarrass you. You just got to come, pop your head in right here, so we can do it. Yeah, right here.
Hi, Mom.
There you go. Just give it a wave. There you go. So Lisa, your wonderful daughter has competed. Are you proud of her? Do you support all of this activity of hers? Yeah, cool. So how does the family life work? Like you still live at home, obviously, and is she a big support of the training and the food prep and all that type of stuff? Oh
yeah, my mom has been like my number one this entire prep. Like I don't know how I would do this without her.
Yeah,
because there's been so many nights where I would get a text message from her right when she gets off work, and she's like, "I'm going to Walmart. Do you need chicken breast? Do you need spinach? Do you need rice cakes?" And I'm like, "Yes, thank you."
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah,
lots of grocery shopping.
Does she eat quite a bit, or does she eat like a normal person, but more frequently?
More frequently,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't just, put away a pizza at 9 p.m.
No.
It's more like chicken and rice 5 times a day. Or like whatever I want to eat.
Who films you when you're making YouTube videos and stuff?
I film myself, or if I'm in the gym. I haven't really done many gym videos lately, but the last gym video I did, my coach actually filmed me and she explained all the exercises I was doing and it was actually very informative. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But most of the time I have my little tripod and I'm just filming myself talking. Yeah. I've done a lot of videos about flexible dieting and metabolism, so it's just nice to like have my own setup and be able to film myself because then I'm not relying on somebody else to like get the camera angles and be available. So.
And do you just splice together the clips yourself on your phone or?
No, I have an editing software called Adobe Premiere.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what Daniel uses here as well.
Oh, Adobe Premiere?
Yeah.
He's a good one.
He's a monster on it.
Yeah. Some people are really good at it. I'm just like, oh, I know the basics. So.
What else are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah. What about temptations that everybody has? What about friends that want to go out to the lake and camp and party and drink alcohol and
oh boy,
all that stuff?
So I did not have a giant friend group in high school, and I didn't go to my first party until my senior year, and I had to pay to go to the party. Like, it was one of those parties where you buy your own tickets.
Okay.
And it was a rave, and I hated it.
Yeah.
And I did not drink. I packed a fanny pack full of protein bars, and I ended up calling my mom at like 10:30, asking her to pick me up. Mm-hmm. I don't party.
Yeah.
So when I have a group of friends that are like, oh, come party with us, come to the lake with us, and come drink with us, I'm like, no,
it's
thanks.
Easy to
like
say
it's
no.
yeah, because I'm generally not interested in it, and I did have to say goodbye to a few friends over this prep just because of, you know, different interests. We're different people. I'm, you know, 100% dedicated to the gym, whereas those friends were only, say, 30% dedicated or 40% dedicated. And it was hard for us to get along, especially when I was on prep, because I'm like the workhorse. And they would kind of just be like, oh, well, we're not going to even bother to ask her to hang out, or, you know, so but that's okay, because I made a new friend group, and I'm with people who shares the similar interests, and
you jive better with them.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like to train on your own, or do you have that circle of friends that you actually train with daily, or is it more of like a just one man show?
I actually really like training by myself.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And we got to make this a little dog related and a little cat related, because this is called the DogCast. Lisa and Tessa, you guys have a dog and 4 cats.
We're 4 cats.
Crazy animal people, or what?
Yeah.
Do they all get along? What are their?
Kind of. Yeah. The dog gets along with everyone. Yeah. But the cats.
The dog is a lab.
No, she's a Cocker Spaniel Chihuahua.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
She's kind of fat.
And are the cats the boss, or do they even bicker and fight?
There's one girl cat named Charlie. She's the little princess. Everybody loves her. But then we've got another cat, Halo. He's kind of like, we think he's like kind of crazy, so he just kind of roams around the house. And then Kato and Romeo. Romeo is like the grandpa cat. He lives outside. He's kind of like the tomboy of the neighborhood. Like, he's the cat that beats everybody up. Okay. And then Kato, he's a big fluffy Himalayan. He thinks he's the new hot stuff, so he's been trying to beat up Romeo. And it's just been like back and forth between those two. They're fighting all the time. But
I love how you've come up with all these different personalities for the different cats. And they have all their motives and intentions.
All of their motives. Like, I know what Kato wants to do.
That's so funny. Cool. Well, do you want to give a shout out to anybody at all that's helped you along with this prep? Or?
Oh boy. Well, a lot of people. I'd have to think about it. Obviously my coach, Jen Kirsten from InjaFit. I do not know how I would be able to do any of this without her. She texted me halfway through my 30 weeks of prep and was like, Tessa, just so you know, I am so proud of the mental changes you have made, and you've become such a strong person. And to that, I just replied, Jen, honestly, you have helped me so much. I don't know like where I would be without you. Like, it's like, she didn't get me to where I am, but she held my hand on the way there. Yeah. And she's been a big supporter.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And then, of course, everybody at Fuel Supplements, so much support from all of them. Andrew, Shannon, Josh, Stuart, Sam, the whole gang, all of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this DogCast was brought to you by our Husky Power pre-workout. You tried this, right, Tessa?
Yes.
Did you like it?
Yep.
It was good? Yeah, cool. So each serving is basically a badass, no bullshit formula. It's just 4 ingredients with effective doses, and each container feeds 5 rescue dogs, so that's always cool too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully Tessa and I will do some